So this is a jig that I use for starting out a round log and getting it flat. So everybody knows you're not supposed to run anything round through a machine. So this is what I've come up with to do. You can cut lumber with it, you can cut veneer with it, you can just flatten logs so that you can start using your fence, whatever you want. So it's a homemade jig. And I can't see a camera, so you guys got to tell me if you can see this.
You're good.
This slides in and out. It fits in your T slot, so it's got a guide fence to slide in your T slot. And then these slide back and forth. And I'll show how this works. I'll actually put it on the saw and show you. But I'm going to mount this piece. So this is how I'm going to mount it. This is nothing but a screw clamp from our favoriteest place, Harbor Freight. And you just lock this fence down. It's just got 2 wing nuts in the back. I'll show you that in a minute. And you just clamp this between there. Now it's solid. It's part of this sled. And there's 2 wing nuts in the back that lock that faceplate down. This clamp is also adjustable up and down. You can see I got a grid pattern made so that I can adjust this up and down depending on the size of the log. And so now we can slice it off. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to turn you back around again, and I'll put this on the saw and show you how I use this. I typically don't use this often because I use another method, but this is just another way to do it. So if you bear with me for a second. All right, now I'll turn you back around so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe I'll set you on this side. This might be a little better. Watch the blurriness. How's that? Can you see that, Dane?
Yeah. Can you move it a little bit closer?
No, that's about as close as I can get it.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be fine.
And that's about as close as I can get it. I only got a small table right here, so.
Okay.
Can you move the fence a little further back?
Yep. Actually, I'm going to mount this log in here, Billy. And I got it pretty close to where it's going to go. So here we go. I want to cut this off and make this flat on this side. So I'm going to mount this in here. Like this. I'm going to clamp it down. If you notice, this edge of this blade is actually on the edge of the sled. So that's a straight line, parallel line to the blade. So if you want to cut angles, you can cut angles. You can do whatever you want. Get this cranked in here tight.
Can you move the metal fence on the left?
Yes, it's just a metal clamp and it slides. And I just got to get it so it clamps in here.
He means the
Rick is getting
bandsaw,
it
the
out.
bandsaw fence.
How about if I take that off?
Yeah, that'll
help.
work.
Does that
Even
help?
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Mejor mucho.
So now I got this clamped in here. It's solid. I mean, you can see I'm wiggling the whole machine. Now I'm going to start this up. Make sure you got your bearings where you need them so they clear. It's going to be this simple.
What happened to audio?
It's probably the bandsaw cutting out. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think it's Zoom
It's-
cut out the audio on the when I started the bandsaw. My bandsaw is extremely loud. So I can barely hear you when it's running. So it just stopped.
No,
So you can see how
you're
easy.
fine. You're fine, Scott. You know, folks, keep in mind, Zoom will muffle machinery sounds. So if he's not talking, then you're not going to hear any audio.
Yep. So you can see how nice that sliced that. That's pretty smooth. Little sandpaper, you could probably use it as a board. So now if you wanted to slice boards, you would just move it over to slice boards. Or if you wanted to flatten another side, you just rotate the log and flatten another side. But at this point now, you can use your regular fence and start making your bowl blanks whatever thickness you want. You don't necessarily have to use this sled. You can if you want to. You don't have to. I just use it to flatten one side of a log that's maybe too high for my throat, but yet I want to get 2 bowls out of it maybe on each end. So that's all I use it for, is just to get one side flat. So any questions about how the jig works?
Yes, what did you call that, that bar that is holding the log?
So that's just a bar clamp that I got at Harbor Freight. And I can, hang on a second. I'll take it off so I can actually show it a little better.
Okay,
So it's slotted in the back.
I gotta make one of these.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, y'all are going to like
So-
this. It's pretty slick.
So I'm just gonna spin it around because it'll be easier for you to see. You can see this bar clamp's got a slot in the back. Can you see that? Right there?
okay,
And it's
Gotcha.
slotted. You can buy these at Harbor Freight. All they did was made a piece of stock that goes in there like you would make for your runner on your, it would go in your T slot. So it just, the piece of wood fits in there and it's got a carriage bolt in it. And then it's adjustable right here. So you can take it off and move it up and down depending on the size of your log.
Wow.
nice.
That's a
So,
cool
so it's
idea.
pretty versatile. And
I
if
like,
you find out you didn't make the holes in the right places, like this one, that's the object of the grid pattern on this side. So now I have a grid pattern that's parallel to the rest of the jig. So you can see I can move, I can move this bar clamp. I can slide it this way. I can also slide it up and down. And I can also slide it so I can use, this is a 36-inch bar clamp on a 30-inch sled. So I could actually cut all the way out to 36 inches if I wanted to. I probably wouldn't do that without an outfeed table or some help because the log on this sled, 36 inches long, is going to be pretty heavy. But if you want to make boards, if you're making small boxes or you want to make finial blanks out of something, this is a great way to slice them off at the same way every time. The other thing I use this for is it's great. It's not necessarily a wood turning thing, but this also makes great tapers. If you can see, I can twist it and set it to make a taper.
hmm,
So if you wanted to taper some table legs or anything that you wanted to do and put taper in them, you can taper them with this jig as well.
the bottom of an
It
ornament
slides.
stand.
Yep,
Huh.
or a bottom of an ornament stand. You could do that same thing with this.
Yeah.
So it's very versatile. This one's also set up. I have a Powermatic 66 saw, table saw, and it just so happens that my guide track on this saw and that saw are exactly the same. So I can use it for cutting tapers on my table saw, which is pretty fortunate that they actually are the same distance from the blade. Kind of makes it
Hmm.
convenient.
now, is
Right.
that
So-
blade a negative rake? Do you use,
Yes, this is a negative rake.
what's the advantage
So
of
instead of,
rake?
It pulls the sawdust to the middle, to the gullet, rather than to the edge.
Okay,
So normally your blade, this tooth would be faced out, and this tooth would be faced out. These two teeth are slightly bent inward at
Okay.
different angles, so it pulls the sawdust to the middle of the cut rather than trying to force it to the outside.
okay,
It's mainly used for cutting veneer. It's kind of something they use for veneer, but you don't need to use a negative rake. It's just, I don't know, it's just my preference. You could
Okay.
use whatever rake that you can afford to buy. You know, it's whatever price range you want to spend for blades.
gotcha.
This blade is a Timberwolf blade, and I think it was around $45 to $60, depending on where you buy it from.
Okay,
What vendor you buy it from. And this saw takes an unusual size. It's a grizzly. It's a 19-inch throat with a 12-inch rip, and it takes a 143-inch blade, which is an oddball. Most people don't have blades that long. The shorter blades are easier to find. I have to special order mine every time I order them, because
we see
or
the
I
back?
have them made.
Can we see
What's
the
that?
back side of, can we see the back side of the jig again?
Sure.
I gotta get a picture in my head of how I'm gonna build this.
So there's what it looks like on the backside. It's got two T-tracks set at whatever distance you want. I set mine in 8 inches from each end, centered on 8 inches. I figured that was good, and I just used T-bolts that you can buy anywhere. And then it just has just wing nuts. And if I'd had wing nuts,
So
there would
there's
have been wing.
pictures of that on the website.
Yeah, I will take some pictures of this and send it to the website so you can see how, and I'll take it apart so you can see how it's put together.
that's a great jig. Scott. Really a wonderful jig.
Yes.
Very good.
This is one of 3 that you'll see tonight. So I'm gonna set this one aside, and I'll set up another one.
Sweet.